वेलकम टू कॉन्वर्सेशंस। मैं आपका होस्ट, आपका दोस्त मुक्तदर खान, और आज मेरे साथ हैदराबाद के बहुत डिस्टिंग्विश्ड इकोनॉमिस्ट आमिरुल्लाह खान हैं, और वो मेरे साथ बात करेंगे अबाउट द इंडियन बजट। तो आमिर, वेलकम टू कॉन्वर्सेशंस। मेरे ख्याल से आप दिस इज नाउ यू आर मोर देन 3 times गेस्ट।
That's right. Thank you so much.
तो आमिर, पहली चीज ये बताओ कि बजट सीजन शुरू हो गया है इन द पार्लियामेंट। सो
Yeah.
दिस इज जस्ट द प्रपोज्ड बजट, राइट? दिस इज नॉट द फाइनल बजट। इस पे अभी वोट नहीं हुआ है, इस पे डिबेट हो,
नहीं,
चेंजेस भी आ सकते हैं। इज इट पॉसिबल, या बिकॉज बीजेपी हैज अ मेजॉरिटी विद इट्स एनडीए वो पास हो जाएगा एज इज?
very unlikely. Usually जो है बजट में कोई तरमीम नहीं होती because it's pre-decided, the numbers are in their favor, unless there is something that really upsets somebody or one of the allies gets worried. Only then will some tinkering happen. But broadly, this is it.
So I'm looking at the budget. Clearly, the budget looks like
Yeah.
a reaction to the second quarter GDP decline of जो 6.5-7% कह रहे थे, वो 5.4% जो हुआ। तो उस डिबेट,
Yeah.
उसके बाद जो डिबेट हुआ कि भाई क्यों इंडिया का मतलब जीडीपी ग्रोथ रेट 5.4 हो गया। एक बात तो थी कि इलेक्शन के वजह से द गवर्नमेंट कुड नॉट डू मेजर कैपेक्स स्पेंडिंग, इसलिए जीडीपी ग्रोथ। लेकिन जो दूसरे वजूहात आ रहे थे, उसमें एक सबसे बड़ा वजह ये था कि कंज्यूमर स्पेंडिंग जो थी, आम जनता, पीपल वर नॉट स्पेंडिंग।
Yeah.
इनफैक्ट कंज्यूमर ग्रोथ वाज अराउंड 4.5%।
Yeah.
ये डर था कि 4.5% से ग्रोथ हो रही है, इसलिए कंज्यूमर स्पेंडिंग नहीं हो रही, प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स नहीं आ रहे। सो दिस बजट और इसका जो टैक्स रिफॉर्म है, कैन यू एक्सप्लेन दैट टू अस कि हाउ डज इट, आई थिंक इट इज अ रिएक्शन एग्जैक्टली टू ट्राई एंड गेट द प्राइवेट, मतलब आम जनता टू स्पेंड मोर मनी। इजंट दैट व्हाट इट इज? इट्स लाइक अ स्टिमुलस, द टैक्स रिफॉर्म।
Okay, so you see, what's been happening is that the core constituency of the ruling party is what is loosely called the middle class. Actually, there is no middle class in India. We have 100 million rich people and we have 1400 million poor people. Because you see, about 87-90% of people earn less than $3,000 a month, a year. So what happens is that there is a very tiny group of people who can be called the middle class. But this number of people who are not rich and who are not abysmally poor are very solidly behind the government. And they have been feeling cheated for quite some time because of one reason, that is that the government has been relying almost entirely on indirect taxes, the GST, to collect revenue. And that is why we find that those who consume are paying 18% on almost everything that they buy. Sometimes it is cascading, sometimes you are paying twice over for the same thing, and the middle class, that core voter, feels that there is an income tax that I am paying, and then on top of that I am paying a GST, which means that I am paying 30% of income tax and 18% of GST. The overall 50% of my income is what is going, and that's why that was one grouse. The other grouse was that this middle class is the service class. It wants jobs. It is not the class that is looking for manufacturing or entrepreneurship. And there are no jobs in India. Unemployment has been at an unprecedented high for the last 8 years now, ever since demonetization. So something had to be done to placate this core constituency. And what better than to say that, okay, you are not going to pay any income tax anymore. So that is why the major headline today is that if you are earning $1 lakh a month, which is about $1,200 a month, then you're not going to pay income tax.
Who are these people? आमिर, ये 1 लाख रुपए कौन कमाता है?
So what happens is that a large bunch of these people are people who are in the regular workforce. What one must understand is that in India, in the organized workforce, we have less than 10% working there. 90% of us are still in the unorganized workforce. So 10% about uh, of about 50 million, of about 500 million. So totally 50 million would roughly be the number of people who are working in the organized sector, in all the government jobs, in the factories, and in all these BPOs and software systems that work. So these 50 million people, they are the ones who earn that much or a little more. And they are the ones who've been rather disappointed with having to pay this tax twice over, once on your income and then when you spend that money. So they have been arguing or they've been asking, and it's been a long term.
Isn't this like a trap? So for example, कि या तो आप इनकम को टैक्स करें या कंजम्पशन को टैक्स करें, राइट? सो जीएसटी इज ए टैक्स ऑन कंजम्पशन एंड इनकम टैक्स. अभी तक तो डबल टैक्स हो रहा था, राइट? आपकी कमाई पे भी टैक्स हो रहा है, आपके खर्चे पे भी टैक्स हो रहा है. बट नाउ दैट द होल पर्पस ऑफ टैक्स, मतलब जो टैक्स रिलीफ मिल रहा है आपको कि आप जाके खर्च करेंगे पैसे, ये you're going to go and spend this money and the spending will drive the economy and it's like a stimulus, right? पैसे चेक भिजाने के बजाय वो कह रहे हैं कि आप हमको पैसे मत भिजाओ. That's it. If you're making up to 1 lakh rupees a month, don't send any money to the government, go spend it in the marketplace. So give it to us via GST, what you are not giving via income tax, right? So it is just shifting it from here to there. But जीएसटी के कई पिछले 3 महीनों में स्कैंडल्स हुए ना. अगर नमक है तो कम, शक्कर है तो ज्यादा, ऑल दोस थिंग्स केम आउट. सो मैं देख रहा था कि जो बीजेपी का जो वेबसाइट है, इट्स वेरी गुड ऑन टैक्स. सो अबाउट 22% इज कमिंग फ्रॉम इनकम टैक्स, 18% ऑफ द रेवेन्यू इज कमिंग फ्रॉम जीएसटी, राइट? तो अब दे आर होपिंग के द जीएसटी कंपोनेंट विल गो अप. कंज्यूमर्स के पास खर्चे भी बहुत है ना, पर्सनल प्राइवेट लोन्स बढ़ गए. सो इफ इंस्टेड ऑफ स्पेंडिंग दे सेव एंड पे बैक डेट्स, तो क्या होगा?
तो दो तीन चीजें हो रही हैं एक साथ. एक तो देयर इज नो सेविंग्स. सी द पर्सनल सेविंग्स हैव नोज डाइव, and the savings level has become palpably low, especially post-COVID. So there are no savings. The personal borrowings have been going up significantly. And this is reflected in the fact that, because there are no savings, the investment rate has been very precariously low. And therefore, because no new investments are happening, GDP is stagnant. Therefore, what is now being sought is that we will give up this 1 lakh crore rupees. This 1 lakh crore is what we are going to do by allowing people to not pay taxes up to 12 lakh rupees. So from 7 to 12, in that bracket, we would give up 1 lakh crore rupees. Now, the idea is that if you give up that 1 lakh crore rupees, and if that money is going to be used up for consumption, then we will get that money back in GST, and GST will go up. The problem with this is that, firstly, as you rightly said, there are no savings. Secondly, there are loans that have to be returned. But thirdly, what one is missing in all this is the fact that prices have gone up considerably. Inflation is pretty high. So that money that you're saving, that 70,000-80,000 rupees that you're saving by taxes, you're actually spending that because the price of sugar and rice and wheat and all have gone up that much. So it's actually status quo.
तो मैं देख रहा था
without anything coming back to the
इनकी जो टैक्स रेट है कुछ 10 से लेके 20% तक है एट दिस इनकम लेवल टैक्स रेट. तो अगर वो पहले टैक्स अगर वो दे रहे थे तो दे वर गिविंग टैक्स ऑन से 12 लाख पे 10%, 1 लाख के करीब वो टैक्स एक एक 1.5 लाख दे रहे हैं, तो दे आर गेटिंग अ सरप्लस ऑफ अबाउट ₹1 लाख, राइट?
No. Slightly lesser, because what happens is that there is a standard deduction. So
अच्छा,
about 0 to 4 lakhs, you pay nothing.
या
So it's from then that is calculated. So you're roughly, if you're at 12, you're roughly saving about 65,000.
तो अगर आप असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर हैं बाकायदा किसी यूनिवर्सिटी में, आपकी अच्छी नौकरी है, सो दैट इज
Correct,
पर्सन,
correct.
ही इज द गाय, राइट, जिसकी 1 लाख तनख्वाह है, राइट? दैट
He
इज,
is that. He is that guy.
हाँ। तो अब
He
उसके
is
पास
absolutely.
70,000 रुपए एक्स्ट्रा है,
Yeah,
दैट इज व्हाट यू आर सेइंग, 70,000 extra to spend. Now, how much will he
that's right.
spend
So
on?
he's got
Yeah.
about,
The surprising package was the rural side of it. ठीक है, it is very clear कि there
yeah,
is some incentive, उतना ज़्यादा incentive manufacturing को नहीं है जितना rural को. So this is an acknowledgement कि लोग rural मतलब जो शहर से गांव चले गए in search of jobs, right? 60 million people have gone, मतलब तकरीबन 6 करोड़ लोग गांव चले गए,
yeah.
literally. But why is the government encouraging this? Like by उनको जॉब्स भी दे रही हैं, उनको एम्प्लॉयमेंट बेनिफिट्स भी दे रही हैं, फिर ये जो मतलब देयर इज द इंसेंटिव फॉर हाई यील्ड क्रॉप्स को, मतलब टू सेइंग के भाई जिस क्रॉप्स में प्रॉफिट ज्यादा है वो आप ग्रो करें. सो दे हैव लाइक मतलब रिजाइन टू द फैक्ट कि there are more jobs in the rural sector than in the manufacturing and urban areas.
Well, तो actually चारा कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि शहर में नौकरियां है नहीं. What we've done effectively in the last 7-8 years is that we have killed most of the manufacturing sector. Has been sliding down, and it contributes to less than 17% of the GDP now. So therefore, the manufacturing sector is unable to provide jobs. Now, what will you do with this 1 crore young fellows who every year come afresh and ask for jobs? The only way to keep them quiet is to keep them in the villages. Because remember, this typical right-wing governance, one believes very strongly in tax cuts for the rich, but it also believes very strongly in not encouraging people to migrate. So, rather than have them in the cities and face the pressure of unemployment, you keep them in the agriculture sector, where there is a semblance of unemployment. There is a facade of employment. Somebody is working for 2 days a month and is considered employed. And somebody is working for under the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, which is where all this money is being spent, where people are being given bare minimum wages. And therefore, by giving very small amounts of money, you are being able to show that the number of unemployed has come down. So when you see these unemployment rates of 7% and 6%, what they hide is the fact that nearly 20% of these of the ones that are employed are working at abysmally low wages. Wages as low as 100 rupees a day, so $1 a day, in meaningless employment, and they are working 17 and 18 hours a day. So that's what it hides, but it's great because at very low price, you can keep people in the villages and can strike them off from the unemployed list.
But मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल अब मैं बजट का प्रेजेंटेशन तो बड़ा खूबसूरत है, देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट. अगर मैं 10 मिनट का शो करना चाहा तो इट इज लाइक all the information is there, but there is all this like Viksit Bharat, aspirations for Viksit Bharat. भाई आपके खुद प्रोजेक्टेड ग्रोथ रेट इज 6.3 to 6.8%, ये कह रहे हैं कि इट्स गोइंग टू ग्रो एट 6.3 to 6.8. देखिए अगर और 2-3 साल 6.3 6.4 होगा तो देन एक्चुअल रेट ऑफ ग्रोथ विल इंक्रीज फ्रॉम 8 to 9% that is necessary to reach the target of Viksit Bharat in 2047. Also there is a problem with the target because they are वो जो टारगेट है वो आज की डेटा पे सेट हुआ हुआ है आमिर। 2047 में दुनिया
Yeah,
बहुत बदल
yeah,
सकती है। इट कैन बी एन एंटायरली डिफरेंट वर्ल्ड दैट वी आर लिविंग इन, एंड आई डोंट नो व्हाट विल
yeah,
to be developed. तो ये अगर if we are going to
yeah,
create this facade of employment, like you know इंडिया की जो लेबर पार्टिसिपेशन रेट का वो जो डेटा आता है, उसमें तो unpaid
yeah.
employment is a category. I mean, to me that was the most stunning part, right? That people are employed
It
but
is. It
unpaid,
is.
which is I think the only
Yeah.
पूरी दुनिया में कहीं नहीं होता वो कि there is unpaid employment. So
होता था मुख्तदर, होता था, तुम्हारे पास होता था 150 साल पहले. इट यूज्ड टू बी कॉल्ड स्लेवरी.
हाँ या आई मीन, अरे भाई स्लेव्स को भी शायद कुछ पैसे मिलते थे यार। आई
नहीं
डोंट
नहीं 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 नहीं. They
बिकॉज
were exactly that, unpaid workers.
सम ऑफ देम गॉट देयर फ्रीडम ना। सो
Yeah.
तो बचा के 25-30 साल। सो आई एम वंडरिंग कि हाउ लॉन्ग कैन दिस इज नॉट अ मतलब दिस शुड बी अ डिप्रेसिंग बजट रादर देन लाइक इतना जोश और खरोश से जो लोग रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं। एंड वी आर नॉट इट इवन, मतलब इंडिया का छोड़ दें आप। आई कैन सी व्हाट द प्रॉब्लम्स आर के द रियल प्रॉब्लम आई थिंक इज लैक ऑफ वेज ग्रोथ, जिसके वजह से आपको कंज्यूमर स्पेंडिंग नहीं हो रही है, जिसके वजह से बोरोइंग हो रही है। अब everybody is under pressure to buy a television, an iPhone, and a motorcycle at least, right? Or a car.
Yeah.
So they are borrowing the
Yeah.
money, and so they are in debt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can understand कि there is no discussion of actual wage growth की बात, मतलब वो अमेरिका में भी हो गया है प्रॉब्लम, बट एटलीस्ट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इट कंसिस्टेंटली कि मिडिल क्लास एंड लोअर मिडिल क्लास के लिए देयर इज नो रियल वेज ग्रोथ। इसके वजह से
Yeah.
इन्फ्लेशन तो वैसे ही मार रहा है आपको, बट
Correct.
इट्स लैक ऑफ वेज ग्रोथ इज ऑल्सो अ प्रॉब्लम। सो तो मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ कि अभी जो ट्रम्प रिलेटेड टैरिफ्स, यू सॉ व्हाट ही डिड टू
Yeah.
and Mexico. I must
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly say that I was wrong. I didn't expect him to really do this. I thought this was a bluff.
Yeah.
He's forcing them to come. And लास्ट 2-3 दिन से तो ऐसा दिख रहा था कि अगर कनाडा उसके सारे डिमांड्स दे भी देती, then he would have still imposed the tariffs because he
Yeah.
wants to, I think, de-link US economy. तो इंडिया एंड ब्राजील की भी बारे में he has talked about it. So there is a lot of headwinds coming internationally. So
Yeah.
is this budget ready to handle the turbulence, the Trump turbulence that is coming in the global economy?
No, nothing like that. There isn't even a acceptance of the fact that there is going to be this external pressure. You talked about the celebration around the budget and so on. Yeah, there is some reason for that celebration for a few people. जो अब जो yacht खरीदने वाले हैं, उनको बड़ा फायदा होगा. Their tariffs have come down. So all the three people who are going to buy yachts next year, good news for them. Everybody on all those 20,000 or so people who are going to buy cars worth more than $40,000. $40,000 is a lot of money. Their tariffs have come down. So it's a very bizarre kind of budget that you have cut down tariffs on the most luxury item. Anywhere in the world, a yacht is not certainly a basic necessity, and we have cut down on those tariffs. So there are these sops for the rich, for the 10%, and they will obviously be happy because you get some leeway. But the problem is that really the tax to GDP ratios. They are abysmally low and will go down further because of these tax cuts.
So simple, अगर सिंपल मैथ हम करते हैं कि आपने इनकम कम कर दी स्टेट की, as simple,
Yeah.
right? By cutting income.
Yeah, 1 lakh crores less. Yeah.
1 लाख करोड़ से आपकी इनकम कम हो गई है,
Come
but
on.
all your expenses are all at the same. I mean, there's a very, even the capex expenditures are a point to, it has gone
Yeah.
up. They have maintained
Yeah.
it. I think वो inflation का adjustment है वो, basically it's the same.
Hey, बिल्कुल.
So the borrowing is going to increase, right? There is, the only way I can understand this is that the government is going to borrow, because there are also all these नए जो schemes आए हैं ना, लाडली बहन, प्यारी बहन, छोटी बहन, all of these welfare schemes
Yeah.
जो आ रहे हैं गरीबों के लिए वगैरह. On top of that, so those welfare schemes are for the people below the middle class. This is a welfare scheme for the middle class, which is the tax cuts. Why? So, but there is no increase of tax for the rich. That is to me perplexing. Like, how are you going to fill this up, this deficit in the budget by borrowing money, or you're hoping कि GST के through हम collect कर लेंगे?
Neither. The clear thing is that it is going to result in lesser investment. See, what's been happening over the last few years is that because of this stagnation in income, stagnation in tax collection, the only way in which fiscal consolidation could take place, in only way in which the fiscal deficit didn't go out of hand, was because of very serious expenditure cuts. So you see where the government ought to be spending money, there you will find that it does nothing of that sort. The two clear examples in this budget were the money on rural roads. Rural roads are very important. This is a government that believes in rural infrastructure, but has kept that to 2.5 lakh crores, not a single increase. And if you see education, again, a lot of talk about Vishwa Guru and whatever, and the education spend is stuck at 1.2 lakh crores. So that is how it is going to work out. That because you are giving up on 1 lakh crore, the only way you can keep the budget balanced is by spending less, and spending less, particularly in the social sector, which really matters. For example, the health budget. I have this soft corner for health, having worked there for quite a bit. And you will see that the health budget continues to, in real terms, come down. There is a nominal increase of about 5% or so. But given a 6-7% inflation rate, it is not even keeping its head above water. Health expenditure in India, which is among the lowest in the world, is now, I think, at about 86,000 crores. When it was time and again promised that it will double and go up to 1.5 lakh crores. But it is stuck at 80,000. So rural roads, the expenditure is down. Education, the expenditure is down. Healthcare, the expenditure is down. For nutrition, one of the important flagship programs where it was expected that the outlay there will go up, and the poor who get only one hot meal a day, millions, or at least 200 million children in India have that hot meal that is provided by the state. And one would have expected that, given the fact that the average age is going up, this scheme is called the midday meal scheme, is available to those below 8th standard. And it would be in a natural course of things that you would extend it to those up to the 10th standard, because now the children have grown up. But no, it is stuck at class 7. दूसरी चीज जो हम सोच रहे थे वो ये कि न्यूट्रिशन के लिए, given the fact that we are staring at very high protein deficiency, we would have had some more outlay for milk, for egg, for whatever. Nothing is changed. 8 rupees and 9 rupees is spent in that Anganwadi for a meal. But what can 8 rupees get you? 8 rupees is 10 cents. And therefore, at this is the result of a government that is unable to expand its revenue, has to cut it down to please a major constituency, has to cut down taxes for the rich because the rich are funding you. And the only way to not get into big time debt or into deficit is to cut essential expenditure, which is what it is doing.
Amir, I mean, there's much to talk about this budget, and I'll come back to you again जब third quarter का data आता है, because there's a huge promise that there will be huge capex investments in the third quarter. Election हो गए हैं, सब कुछ हो गया है, और allocated जो पैसे allocate हुए थे capital expenditure के लिए वो खर्च नहीं हुए थे. At least that was the. So they are going to do that, they are saying. So we will see. That will give us a much better picture of how good this budget is when we look at the third. लेकिन there are some other problems that I don't want to go in, but I just want to flag it सुनने वालों के लिए कि दो चीजें जो मुसलसिल प्रॉब्लमैटिक पिछले अक्टूबर से आ रही है। एक के जो फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स है वो पैसा खींच रहे हैं बाहर। So thousands of crores of money have left the Indian stock market. The other is that foreign direct investments bhi nahi aa rahe, and the biggest ones are coming from Mauritius and Singapore, which is basically black money becoming white and coming back to India. So anyway, we'll stop with that. Thank you very much, Amer, for giving us some sense of what is happening with the Indian budget. Or thank you very much for joining us on Khanversations.
Thank you.